podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Shiro bared down, and time slowed to a trickle. Chi surrounds every muscle, every knuckle, every drop of blood dripping from his brow. This is it, a 260-pound Israeli veteran and Krav Maga legend, lunging the heel of his boot towards Shiro's chest. This is it, the last fight between Shiro and greatness. First orphaned in Japan and outcast in his home country, following the faint tug of destiny, he found his way as a boy to China, where he fought dogs in the streets for scraps of food, for survival. Taken in by monks, his only taste of compassion. 20 years of training, 20 years of bloodied fists and swollen eyes, 20 years of mastering Chi. As the boot drove closer, Shiro realized he wasn't the only one with a story, with a longing for victory. If he wanted to win this tournament, the tournament, he was going to have to take it from the Israeli.
That is the story of Arcade Fighter, a new Kickstarter game. We have on today Clint Stoker, the designer of this game. Thanks for joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, Clint.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. It's Pioneer Day here, so I hope you're not hearing fireworks in the background. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, until I called the bank, because we use a bank that's in Utah, but they have a branch here. So I called and tried to get the customer service, and that wasn't going to work. So luckily, and then I remembered that it was the 24th that everything shut down. So I had to call the branch instead of the customer service. So that was kind of interesting. It reminded me that it was the 24th. So happy 24th of July.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go. So you have a new game on Kickstarter called Arcade Fighter. Let's see here. What can you tell us about it?
So Arcade Fighter it's a game for 2 to 6 players, and it's really based off those great video games that are, arcade fighting games. I took inspiration from games like Tekken or Mortal Kombat and sort of tried to make a tabletop version of that. A lot of it is about positioning, choosing a fighter, choosing an arena to fight in, and then you're positioning cards. So almost there's an aspect of chess there in the mechanics where you're positioning cards. And it really depends upon how your opponent is positioning their cards. So you can strike and remove their cards, or strike and do, quick damage to them. Or you can align your symbol cards in the orders according to your fighter's specific abilities and complete special combo moves. So there's a lot of aspects from the video game world that we've tried to apply here in the game, and I think it works really great.
What about Kickstarter? No, not Kickstarter. What about Street Fighter? Any inspiration from that?
Yeah, for sure. We tried to take a lot of the ideas of, comboing buttons. If you're, for me, it was PlayStation. I played a lot, but Nintendo the same way. If you're, the combinations of buttons that you're pushing, you can do different moves, and so that's sort of the inspiration there, that you have some options on, how greedy you want to get with trying to show off and completing, big fight combos, or if you're the kind of person that just likes to spam the knee kicks, you can do all that. So
like somebody like me or Lady Leaf, my wife, we're pretty much button mashers. I guess on this new Kickstarter, I'm trying to learn the different moves or whatever, but still pretty much I'm a button masher. How would that play into with the cards? There's really not a way to button mash, is there, and get your opponent?
To some extent there is. There's sort of 2 different mechanics for dealing damage to your opponent. One is just a simple strike. And the way that works is you've got, basically there's 6 positions that you can be placing cards in. And I sort of think of that as footing. So if you have a card in your forward position, that's the best position you can be in to strike, you have to move it to your support position. So it's moving backward. And then if it's in the support position, you'd move it back again, and that's by discarding it. So you're sort of sacrificing your own footing to deal damage. So there's kind of a lot of give and take there. But yeah, you could totally play cards and then just strike. So you're only doing, 100 damage over and over, and sort of just spam those easy hits. But it pays off to go for combos. You get to do more damage, and you also get to, draw cards and play cards after. Their rewards for completing combos. So there's generally the best player incorporates a little of both. It just kind of depends on the situation you find yourself in.
Cool beans. Yeah, that sounds really exciting. It doesn't sound like this is your first rodeo, though. What other games and or things have you created there, both on Kickstarter and just in general, I guess?
Yeah, so I actually came from the world of writing fiction. I've published 2 novels, and so that's sort of where I got into the publishing world. Publishing games is a little bit different, but I sort of got into games by writing murder mystery party games. So it started with just for friends and family. I'd write scripts for those, and they're actually, the ones I do are pretty different than your typical murder mystery party game. But then I started getting hired by, like local libraries and places like that, and writing custom scripts for them, and managing their games. And so that's where I really got interested into game design. So for me, this is my first Kickstarter that I've been involved in. It's a very different project because, I can make a prototype for this game, and I've got one for myself that I play, and I enjoy it, but it seems like one of those things that it needs to get out there. And so Kickstarter is really, I need Kickstarter to do it because I'm not independently wealthy. So.
Well, there you go. Cool. That's really cool. You published books too as well. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Or just the games?
Yeah, I published 2 books. Both are fiction, nonfiction, and fiction. Sorry.
Sorry. I get too confused. Is that a true story or not true?
They're not true. They're fiction. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine. My wife gives me a hard time about that. She's an author too, kind of, and so yeah. But I've always had to struggle with that. So what are the names of those books? If anybody's interested, are they still available for people to purchase?
Yeah, they're available on Amazon. My first one is called The Cause, and that was, really pretty successful with downloads. I primarily sold ebooks there. And then my second book is called All for Owen. I'm really, really proud of that book. I think, I'm just really proud of it. Every time I look back to it, it was a lot of fun to write, but it was a lot of work too.
Cool beans. Did you self-publish, or did you go through a traditional publisher?
I self-published, and that's kind of part of the fun to me. I didn't really, with my second novel, I approached a few literary agents, and, didn't really get anywhere there. If you've done the process of trying to go through an agent, it can be a nightmare. So for me, with technology, how it is today, you can just publish something and get it directly to your readers. So that's what I really liked about it. The first novel I published, I did a promotion and had it free for 3 days, and I had over 11,000 people download the book.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah, which was amazing. I would love to have got paid for those, but the cool thing there is it just really jump-started my readership. It was great to hear from people in, Canada and, across the country that enjoyed the book and, reached out to me. So it was really cool just to have that kind of reach and build readership. And I didn't need the permission of a publishing house to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot, and you have more control and whatnot. That's what my wife found, going that way.
Yep.
So are you still going to be doing the book thing as well?
So for novels, I don't know if I want to write another novel. I've been I have thought about it a little bit, but I've actually been more interested in comics. That's I've written several comic scripts, and I still love to publish a graphic novel, but that's a much more difficult process because to do it how I want to do it, I need a good professional artist, and those are not always easy to come by. And you want to be able to pay them what they're worth, but at the same time, I've got to feed my kids. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, because let's see here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's great. So you published 2 books. What? Let's see here. And then you got into the murder mysteries. So did you write for all the libraries there in your local area then, or?
Not all of them. I just a lot of it was just private parties, and like if I don't know if you know where Brigham City is in
Yes,
Utah.
sir.
I did some murder mystery parties for their library up there. Just some local stuff. So, but yeah, it was a great time, and I still enjoy writing those. I try to write at least one every fall. And yeah, I think I'd love to. I'm thinking during this Kickstarter pre-launch phase, I may be giving some of those out for free just for people to download, because they're so easy to, just download. You've got the script and you can play it. So
Well, that's cool. Yeah, you'll have to let us know. So will that be on the Kickstarter page, do you think, or somewhere else?
probably on our Facebook page. I've been doing giveaways and some of the behind the scenes stuff on the Arcade Fighter Facebook page.
Okay, yeah, because I'm not sure exactly when this will launch, but we'll have to get those what do you call it, links from you so we
Sure.
can put them on the notes and whatnot. Let's see here. So we talk of unique mechanics. I noticed on your page. Is that pretty much what you're going over before? I've seen a lot of different fighting and card games. A lot of them use dice. The one that comes to
Yeah.
mind is Smash Up. Are there dice involved any in this game, or?
So initially, when I was developing the idea, I started with dice, and in my opinion, it didn't really make sense for a fighting game. It was more like a press your luck kind of mechanic that I don't know. I didn't really like it for a fighting game. So the way that it evolved, and I feel like it works better, is there's no dice involved. It's just cards and then your individual data sheet. So you pick a fighter, and each fighter has their unique strengths and weaknesses. And then players are actually drawing from the same stack of cards, and they're just symbols like an X, like a zero, things like that. And so, depending on which cards you draw, you're going to be trying to place them in a certain order. There's really three main lanes, and those lanes will align with your opponent's lanes. And so, depending on what card is directly across from your card, you could strike their card to get rid of your opponent's card to sort of stop their strategy from hitting you with a big combo, or you can strike directly across to your opponent where they have no card in that particular card slot, and that's a easy way to deal some quick damage to them. And so a lot of the mechanics that I think are pretty unique involve the placement of cards, and then rather than tapping them like we see with Magic the Gathering, you're moving them backward, so you're kind of losing your footing. Or if you're backward, it's not that you're tapped out and you can't use that card. You still can, but the cost is you're discarding it. And so that's, it's really, I think, a pretty unique mechanic for two people to be fighting. It's not your typical, trading card game fighting style that you see a lot in a lot of games. So.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And so, like, it sounds like, according to what you said, and from what I've seen a little bit of, it sounds like so I could like try to hit them and they can block it or whatnot, or do like
Yeah.
a scissor kick or something while I'm trying to punch them or something. Is that kind of
Yeah,
adjust?
exactly. There's a lot of interaction in the game. There are turns, but you can still do things during your opponent's turn. So, for example, every basic combination that someone could pull off, there's always one symbol that your opponent, if they have that symbol card in hand, they can discard it in order to block it. So there's kind of an element of bluffing. You might, sort of make your opponent feel comfortable enough to try to hit you with a big combo to deal, 400, 500 damage. But if you're holding the right card in hand, you can discard it in order to block that combo from them.
So if you don't got it, you're screwed, huh?
Yeah, you just have to take the damage. And so a lot of it's, deciding risk taking. Do you want to take the damage in order to secure your own combo, or are you going to sacrifice your footing to prevent damage? So there's a lot of strategic decision making there and a lot of back and forth, and for sure a lot of interaction between players. The other thing that I think is unique about it and that I love is that you have an ability to have tag team fights. So you'll have a teammate sitting next to you. You can work towards your combo. And kind of a sneaky thing you can do is when you tag your opponent in, you move all the cards on your data sheet over to your teammate's data sheet. So you could be really setting up your partner so they have the cards that they need. So you tag them in, and then they're going to complete the combo for you. So it can really get fun with tag team fighting.
Cool. Probably a lot like lately, especially it works out with Little Leaf. We've been playing the new Street Fighter game, and we do me and her against the computer or whatever. So that's something like that, maybe.
Yep, exactly. That's where I drew inspiration for it.
Oh, cool. So, and let's see. So let's talk about the part you're most that you love most about this game, or did you already hit on that?
I think really what I love about it and that I really wanted to capture is I don't know if you've ever arcade fighting games are like this, but also if you've ever played Rocket League, they're games that you can sit down for 5 minutes and play a quick game, have some fun. It's just something you can pick up really quickly. But they're also games that you can say, okay, one more game, and then 3 hours later.
Oh boy, something addicting. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, and so that's what I love about it is, the first time I play tested it with my brother, whom I love to play games with. That was our experience. We sat down, let's just play 2 games of this really quickly. And then, 3 hours later, I was like, oh man, it's late. I need to go home. So that's kind of what I'm going for on a, tabletop gaming way.
Oh boy. So that Rocket thing you talked of, was that a computer game or was that a tabletop game, or what is that exactly?
Yeah, Rocket League it's a great game. I play it on PlayStation, but I think you can get it on the computer as well. I think even Xbox has it. But yeah, it's basically you drive a car and you're playing soccer. So you're in a car with like jet engines and the soccer ball is huge, and you drive around on your teams and you're basically just trying to hit the ball into the goal. And it sounds really simple, but the games last literally 5 minutes, and it's just so fun because it's such simple gameplay. But yeah, you can develop some really intense skills with the few mechanics and tools you have available to you.
Well, that's pretty cool. That sounds pretty fun. I may have to check that out. So you talked about play testing with your brother. During the play testing, I know you thought you didn't want to do a dice or anything. Was there anything that you had during play testing that you just had to scrap that you found wouldn't work or that other people didn't like or something like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle that I had was, one was moving away from dice, which was the best move I made. But the second best move, which was a huge deal, was making a guarded slot, I call it. So it's a zone where you can place a card that it's untouchable and your opponent can't strike it away. Without that guarded slot, you could run into a rut where every time you played a card, your opponent was making you get rid of it. And so the game would just sort of get stalemated. And so by adding that guarded slot and adding the ability to make maneuvers more freely, it helped you to, if you had a card that was pretty important for you to complete a combo, you could keep it safe until you're ready to bring it out and use it to do your combo. So that really changed the dynamics and made it work so much better.
Well, that's good. So what all goes into the process? Like, how long has this game, from the time you were inspired by the Rocket game, how long have you been working on this?
It's been probably, when I first started thinking about the idea, maybe six months, I think. I mean, relatively speaking, it was pretty quick. I remember I was mowing, or let me think. Yeah, I was mowing the lawn when I came up with the idea to how to make the mechanics work without dice. But yeah, even before then, I was thinking about it. It was, yeah, it went relatively fast. I think for game design, so I really think only about 6 months.
Did
Um,
you have to play test that whole time, or how long have you guys been play testing it?
yeah, ever since the beginning, I'm the kind of guy where as soon as I think something up, I've got to try it. So, it was a matter of, I literally grabbed some dice and got a Sharpie and scribbled some symbols onto the dice. And that's how it started, playtesting with my wife, and a lot of errors. And then, yeah, the great thing is I was able to find just blank cards and, again, drawing symbols on those, making tweaks here and there. So yeah, a lot of play testing in order to get just the basic mechanics right. And then from there, it was tweaking, now that we have the basic mechanics working, what changes can I make to make this better? And so it was just, we're going to change just this one rule and play a few games with this one rule change. Okay, now we're going to play a few more games with this other rule change. And it's amazing how adding even just small restrictions in the rules, it really changes the strategy of a game.
Cool beans. Let's see. So you already told us why you put it on Kickstarter, but out of all the games out there, especially those on Kickstarter, why should people take a chance on this game?
Um, I think that it really is unique. A lot of the games that I'm seeing out there, you can kind of guess by looking at them. Okay, I've seen those kind of mechanics before, and you kind of know what to expect. This really is very innovative. I've approached it from the concept of not making it like other board games I've seen, but like, if an arcade game was a tabletop game, how would it be played? So I really think that it's a unique experience for tabletop gaming. And really, it's also something you can happily waste 3 hours of your evening playing, and want to do it again the next night.
Well, there you go. That's pretty good. Let's see here. So you talked of inspiration that you got from the. Was that pretty much where the inspiration came from? That you keep telling me. What's it called? Rocket.
Rocket League or games like that. I mean, arcade fighter games like Tekken. Those fighting games have, for me, been so fun. I think where I initially got the idea is I was playing Dead or Alive with that same brother, and if you've played that, it's just one of those arcade fighting games. And I thought, man, this is fun. Just the fact that you can play really short games. You don't necessarily have to be really skilled to enjoy it. Like you said, you can just mash buttons. But there's still some depth to it that you can get better at it and learn new tricks. And so I wanted to do something like that you could just quickly sit down, really fast, set it up, and just play a game and play another game and another game. So yeah, between, I think, Tekken, Dead or Alive, Street Fighter, and then Rocket League, those kind of gave me the motivation and the inspiration to build a game like that for the tabletop.
Cool beans. And you talk a lot about video games or whatnot, but what about board gaming and tabletop gaming? How did you get into that?
Yeah, I've enjoyed playing tabletop games for, I mean, I don't know, all my life we've played games. I have a lot of fun playing Magic the Gathering. I think many gamers do. I also like to play HeroClix. It's another fun game for me. And then even Warhammer 40K. So I'll kind of go through phases and and float between one of those 3 games. Those are always my go-to games. But I do love board games. Another one, I think, you've heard of Rampage, the board game.
Yeah, didn't it change its name or something? Wasn't it inspired after the Rampage video game, maybe?
Yeah, yeah, and I thought that was such a cool concept that they made a board game that really did, it really did take inspiration from the video game. And it's genuinely, it's a really fun game. So
What they
that's
changed the
another.
name to? Do you know?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I
Because I
didn't.
remember listening to some certain podcast or whatever, and they talked about it. But then, yeah, I think the name has changed now or something.
Yeah, which makes sense to me. I didn't know. I was thinking, oh, did they have licensing for it, or yeah, I didn't know how that worked. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. But yeah, it's a fun game. Whatever the new name is, too.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out too. So, have you played it then?
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually started a game retail business with my brother a few years back, and that was one of the games that we sold. And it was yeah, really fun. The first time I played it, I thought, man, this seems complicated, but it's I mean it's really fun. It's just very different mechanics. You're flipping things, you're blowing things rather than rolling a die and moving a certain amount of steps. So it's different.
Is there like 3D buildings like in Rampage, or are they going and
Yep.
destroying? Oh wow!
Yeah, you stack them up, and the goal is you're eating people and you're destroying buildings, and yeah, it's super fun.
Cool. Yeah, I always like that game. Let's see. So you talked about 3 different games or whatnot. Do one of those fit into your currently favorite board games, or do you have a current favorite board game besides, of course, Arcade Fight? Arcade Fighter.
Um, yeah, I think. Oh, that's hard to say. I mean, as far as board games go, I I really like Rampage. I also like, you know, just simple games like if you've played Zilch, you're just using dice. That's something I grew up playing, and I still enjoy playing it. Um, I think lately I've just been into Magic the Gathering. It's been a lot of fun to play. Um, and so I'll kind of go through phases in and out a little bit. But yeah, HeroClix, that's been something I've enjoyed for years. So yeah, it kind
Cool.
of just
Yeah.
depends on the week.
There you go. Yeah, I never got into. Well, I tried to get into Magic the Gathering, but usually how it worked when I was growing up, my friends would get into something, and just as they were, I'd get enough money to buy it, and then they'd get out of it. So I think
Oh
I
yeah.
barely got a couple, and then they were done playing it, so I was done. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun game if you get into the tournament scene and go into the store and playing. There's always people to play there, but that's it, it to start off with that by yourself can be kind of intimidating. So it's nice to have a friend to kind of get you into it.
Cool. And you talked about your brother and you doing a retail store. Is that still in play today, or?
No, yeah, it was a good learning experience, but it just didn't make sense. Since then I've started other businesses and I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. But yeah, that I think it was a passion project, and it competing with Amazon, frankly, is next to impossible.
Okay, so it was
um,
like an online, not a game, not a box store, or whatever they call it.
yeah, we wanted to try it out online first, and I'm glad we did. It's not for the faint of heart. I really have respect for those local game stores that do it and do it well. So I think I have more fun being on the sort of the creative side of the game world. But I did learn a lot of things about selling and getting games that people enjoy and things like that. So it has really helped me, especially with developing Arcade Fighter. But yeah, I would not try it again.
Cool, cool beans. And now the next part in our podcast is AAA, but don't worry, it's not Alcoholics Anonymous. This is, after all, a family podcast. It actually stands for Adventures in Application Acquisition. Do you have a favorite application be it on your phone, tablet, or something like a gaming system or PC that you're playing at the current time?
Oh man, I mean I have a PlayStation 4. I love it. Um, I think on my phone, honestly, my favorite app is the YouTube app. I love,
Oh, there you go. Yeah, my son, Wizard Leaf, he's 14. He likes YouTube. He spends a lot of time there. All kinds of things.
yeah, some of the games. I mean, for apps, as far as that goes, I've downloaded this game. It's called, I think, Samurais versus Ninjas, and I just thought it was something silly to pass the time. But man, that game's really fun. I kind of want to break that out again. It's been a while since I played it.
It's called Samurais versus Ninjas.
Samurais versus Zombies, I think is what it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, what can you tell us about that game?
I mean, it's almost like a one of those defense games. But you get pretty aggressive. So you're a samurai, and then you're sort of summoning other samurais with different abilities, and they'll help you fight this horde of zombies. So you're really just a kind of a side scroller game, and you sort of are pushing back the zombies. And once you get all the way back to their home base, you pass the level. So it's again just really kind of simple idea, but yeah, it's a fun game. If I'm gonna play a app game, then that would be it, I think.
Oh, cool. Is it? Do you know if it's available on Android and iOS?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I actually played it on the iPad first. I'd have to check for Android.
Oh, cool. I have
Um,
to help my son, Barbarian Leaf. He's big into the fighting games, especially. It's hard to tear him away from his iPad, and he's always frustrated with the games that we play if they're not fighting in them or whatnot. So he likes the fighting game. So that sounds like something
yeah,
he'd like to check out. Do you know if there was a cost or is it a free app or
it was free. Yeah, you could pay
awesome,
for
even better?
extra abilities and stuff, but I played the whole game and didn't spend anything on it, and I really enjoyed it.
Even better, cool. We'll have to check that one out. Let's see. And now, where can people that are listening to this, where can they find out about you or Arcade Fighter?
So I think one is Facebook. I'm pretty active on Facebook, so that's facebook.com/arcade fighter. And I think really the most important thing that a listener could do is join the mailing list. We're shooting to launch in September, on September 5th. And I've got a goal that I need to hit for email subscribers to feel comfortable enough to launch at that time. So I think that's the best thing someone could do is follow us on email. There's a lot of the behind the scenes things we can share, and a lot of giveaways, like I said, downloads, things like that. So that's the place to be.
Okay, so Arcade Fighter, and that's the Facebook page you said?
Yeah, Facebook page, and from there's a link right at the top. You can sign up to the mailing list.
Okay, and so if this launches the 5th of September, how long do you plan on going with it?
This will be a 30-day campaign.
Okay, great. Let's see here. So they can do that. Any final parting words on why they should go ahead and back Arcade Fighter?
The thing that I love about Kickstarter is it gives, uh, you know, your average Joe a chance at displaying something and creating something awesome and building an audience for it. And so I really put a lot of work into Arcade Fighter. I really believe that it's a great game and that there are many, many people who would enjoy playing it. And so, yeah, I'd strongly encourage you if you want to help independent game designers, at least give us a look and give us a shot to back us on Kickstarter.
Okay, and so parring they do back you on Kickstarter. I know it's probably kind of hard to say with everything that has to take place, but when do you look at possibly delivering the game to them if they do back in when it funds?
Yeah. So I don't want to overpromise, but we're probably looking at sometime in February that the game would be delivered. And so really the game is developed. There are a few aspects that backers can help develop, like arena cards. Right now, that'd be the only thing we need to get artwork for and complete those. But that's pending backers, because backers get to choose what are going to be on those arena cards. But other than that, we're ready to go to print. We have a manufacturer lined up. So I think February is what we're shooting for.
Oh, cool. And so they can get a base game. What's the base game run?
We're starting it at $30. And that'll get you everything. There's not, everybody gets the stretch goals, so there's no, you don't have to pay more to get more. Everybody's going to get the full game. However, if you do back at higher levels, there are things like, getting your name printed on the box, or being able to create one of those arenas for the arena cards. So yeah, there's some cool bonuses that are higher up the scale there, but it starts at $30. So you get the whole game.
Cool. That's awesome. So you heard it here first. Well, maybe not first. I don't know where else you've been, but you heard it here on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Go back Arcade Fighter. You can look that up on Kickstarter, and we'll also put a link in the show notes. And thanks again for joining us today, Clint.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.